So in the current situation, it's difficult to step away from online learning because that's one of the measures. But what we need to really be taking care of is definitely the 20-20-20 rule, which is every 20 minutes of using the screen or computer to do your work, take a 20 seconds break by looking at something far away, about 20 feet away, and then return back to your work. So this is to reduce the eye strain definitely that's involved with online learning and using a lot of screen time. The next would be definitely ergonomics. So make sure that our screens and whatever gadgets that we're using are at eye level that we are using. So that's important. And last but not least is also ensuring that we have our blue light screen on so that it doesn't damage too much of our time. And to prevent like distractions from doing the work, to so keep a timer to keep things going, as well as make sure that your kids do not have other tabs switched on so that they don't deviate from like doing online work and then you go on to watching YouTube and then the time gets dragged on. So they need to stay longer on their online learning. So trying to help them manage their time better as well.
So you mentioned about the time frame of screen time, right? But right now with so much online learning, everything is online learning, from dancing class to tuition, to home learning. What's a healthy screen time now? Would it be different from what it used to be before this pandemic, or do we have a shift, or what is it?
Okay. So usually for school-going children, we'll recommend 2 hours per day. But with online learning, it can extend beyond like 3 hours or even 4 to 5 hours, depending on the curriculum, how heavy it is. But what we can ensure to do is that we need to understand what exactly is the topic about that a child is engaging in and try to switch a little bit more to hands-on activities. So instead of fully online, try to turn to textbooks or newspapers or some other hands-on activities that you can engage in. So if the screen time has been fixed for online learning, the remaining time of the day should be a bit more of the quality time, screen off time. So balancing it out and moderating the time.
Okay, so basically that's physical and that's online as well. Yes. And you mentioned not to have too many tabs.
Yes.
So what's a good number? I'm very guilty of that, I must admit.
Okay. So if it's a project, if it's an activity, or it's a task that needs to be done, then it would be good to draw out like, okay, how long do I roughly need to complete this activity, and keep them to track the time accordingly. But at the same time, avoid having other tabs like YouTube's or Facebook account or having WhatsApp web on the computer off, so that they do not need to switch each time an alert comes in. Or try to keep away like work laptop versus the entertainment or leisure gadget.
Oh, that's hard. That's hard, isn't it? And I mean, right now, some parents have 2 or 3 kids, and right now with some countries having movement control, some countries having home learning, how do we deal with this like limited laptops but so many kids also at the same time?
Yeah, so the idea is that if screen time is the only leisure point or only family time, then it will be difficult. So that's when we try to expand the repertoire of activities we have at home. So that's when we can have a bit more shared responsibilities or shared roles coming in at home. So if things hasn't been cleaned up at home, then you can, as a family, start to sort things out, try to do some work activities together, or play a family games together, or make up a recipe or a simple meals together. So that way, you kind of have a role for each one to play, and they will not be fighting over a single gadget.
So kind of like have staggered, like nowadays we have staggered work timing, right? So the kids are all staggering, having their...
Yes.
And so Dr. 𝘀𝗰𝗿 has came up with this really... No, she didn't came up, she kind of created this bingo game. Yes. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about your bingo game?
Okay, so in Instagram, this bingo game is going quite strong, but I thought that we could help parents to help a bit more understanding of when the kids are at home, what are some self-care skills or what are some functional skills that they can actually equip themselves with. So we have 2 sets. One is for kids. What are some household chores and some self-care activities that they should be engaging in, and have they not, or have they been engaging in? So that kind of allows parents to keep track, and you can check off or decide whether that's a new skill that you might want to teach them during this period. And for adolescents, we're looking at functional skills, as simple as probably know how to operate a first aid box. So these are some skills that you can start instilling into them as you're with them at home this period.
Okay, thanks. And so I'm just going to introduce a little bit about Dr. 𝘁𝗵𝗍. She has clinical experience working with children 0 to all the way to 18 years old, including children with special needs. And her journey started off at 8 years ago at KK Women and Children Hospital in Singapore.
Okay, hi everyone. So I'm 𝘁𝗵𝗍, occupational therapist. I was working in an acute setting for a good 6 years before I transited to private setting. And then now I'm currently in a school-based setting. But at the same time, I started 𝗨𝗏𝗋𝗿. So it's an online platform that's catering more to parents, caregivers, and educators. So to empower them, to educate them about current issues, developmental issues, learning difficulties, and other pertinent issues that we see day to day. So example of today's topic as well, screen time, how does it impact our children when they're at home. So we do have consults, webinars, so it's a relatively new startup, but we hope to reach. And I'm very happy to be collaborating with Mindful Space, who has equal passion towards promoting inclusiveness and empowering parents. Yeah.
So later on, as you have more questions, please post them at the comments below so that Dr. 𝘁𝗵𝗍 can answer your question. We do have one question coming in from Serene.
Okay.
Alright? Any ground rules or suggestions to make sure kids are engaged during e-learning?
Okay, that's a tough question because when it comes to learning, there is two kinds. One is active learning and one is passive learning. So active learning is when they're actually understanding the information and learning to apply the information, whereas passive learning is when they're just sitting in front of the screen and they're probably just absorbing information. So at this point in time, how can you as a parent, or what can you do while you're at home with them, is once the online learning has taken place, you can probably start to teach them study skills, like for example mind maps or post-it activities, or drawing out illustration, so that they can learn to apply what they have absorbed into practical use or into sharing. So in that way, that learning becomes active versus it's just going to be like, I have to do this online and I have to switch a tab to answer the question. So that's just merely tracking what's my answer. I need to find my answer and apply my answer versus I understand what the information is.
So how to actually make it more active? So, okay, so that's a good point because I know parents, they like showing kids YouTube, and they will say, oh, my kids learn a lot of things from YouTube, things like that. But from what you're telling me right now, that's actually passive learning.
Yes.
Right? And there's not much output, it's more just of input.
Yes.
Right? And but what are the consequences if it's only just passive learning?
Okay, so when passive learning happens, what's happening is that they're just absorbing the information there and there. So it just goes in temporarily into their memory, and the next time you ask them to recall the information, they might not be able to recall fully, or they might not be able to apply that knowledge to a question that might arise. And then you'll end up like rephrasing the question. Do you know you read in the online learning So that's when you know that they have not really processed it. And not all the kids at this stage are independent learners. That means that if they have information, they know how to analyze the information. So as parents, what you can do is to interpret the meaning of the information for them. So that's when active learning actually takes place. So in school, that's what teachers do, right? They help them to break down the information, analyze the information so that they learn better. So at home, when online learning is taking place, maybe that's what parents can help them. But what did you learn, or what do you understand from it? Okay, so what are you gonna do with what you learn? So that's when they learn study skills like mind mapping. And this will come handy when there is tests, exams, or just spring tests. So that's when they will be able to recall much better.
So this gives me another interesting point. So how do siblings help each other in this mind mapping and post-it? Can they actually, how can they get involved as a family? Because now siblings are home together a lot. So how can they do it as a family activity?
Okay, that's an interesting question. So depending on the grade levels and the type of content and what are they learning, they can play a tutor role, or they can do a own show and tell, like, this is the information that I have gained and this is what I have come up with. So making it a bit more like creative and a bit more of like games kind. Or they can also come up with games. Give them clues so that their family members have to guess the answer. So then you can see that they apply the knowledge as well as they know what's the answer to the knowledge that they have. applied.
Okay. How can parents who are also busy working from home support the kids' e-learning while monitoring their kids' screen time?
Okay, so the first question is how can we support when parents are already engaged in their own work? So if parents are aware that this time to this time is something critical that they need to work on their laptop, so you can support your child by actually engaging them with their e-learning resources during that period. So you can be sitting side by side so that you know that they are also engaging in their own work and you're having your own work time. But to prevent them from engaging in screen time, so there are many apps and many controls in the computers as well as gadgets nowadays where you can actually switch off access to YouTube, to Facebook and other social activities. So what they can access is only learning materials, like for example Google Classrooms or I'm not sure other of the learning materials that schools are using nowadays, but I know that Google Classroom is something that you can only link through that. You can't access other activities.
Okay, so then the other question, what happens when children exceed their screen time? Because sometimes parents it's a constant daily power struggle the minute you say, oh, your screen time is up, or you need to take the iPad away.
So power struggle comes definitely with tantrums and with meltdowns. So this happens because number one, they were not aware of the boundaries that you're going to be imposing. And number two, preempting them. So what you can do is that before they get engaged in screen time, you can let them know that this is how long we're going to be using the screen time. And I'll remind you 5 minutes before the screen time ends. It's good to use a timer, it's good to use a clock so that they are aware how much of time that they have, so that they are prepared and it's not like you're going to tug away the gadget away from them. So that's when the power struggle is going to come. And also try to monitor what type of activities they're engaging in. So if it's a YouTube video and you know that it's probably it exceeds 30 minutes or it's going to 45 minutes by the time you're going to give this 30 minutes, then do preempt the child saying that the video that you chose is more than the screen time that I am giving. So that means do expect that you need to pause it and you probably need to attend to it later or you can see it later. So that they know that they are choosing something that they might not get to see fully. And also when it comes to games, try to see what kind of games that they're actually engaging in. If it's those games where it's very high intensity or it's like levels, that means you finish one level and you go on to the next level, then it's good to monitor or set boundaries saying that do know that if you have 5 minutes left and you're going on to the next level of the game, then do not go. We can pause the game and we can do it the next time. So these kind of factors are the one that leads to power struggle. Because it's fun and engaging, they wouldn't want to withdraw immediately. And also try to see when you're giving screen time. So if you're going to give screen time right before homework, right before bedtime, then definitely they're going to negotiate or throw more tantrums because it's not a very exciting activity that they're transiting to. So the transitions are equally important when you're removing the screen time for them.
Okay, so basically setting expectation, that's one. The timing or setting of the timing. And you were just talking about, games are very engaging and not to go into the next level. But that's how games are designed, right? To get them so absorbed and engaged in it that they don't want to let it go and want to just go on to the next level. So that's also a challenging part. I think not just for the kids, for the parents who play games as well, right? So you're saying that a good timing is not before bedtime. So when is a good timing? Because after they come back from school, it's like schoolwork, right? And then, so what's a suggested timing?
Maybe we can have it before dinner time, because once you say time's up the screen time, then they have a chore to do, to either help you set up the dinner table with them, help to clean the table, or help to prepare the meal for them. So it's a chore that I shouldn't say a chore, but a responsibility that they have following the screen time. Versus, no, you're going to stop the screen time and you're going to go to bed. So for them is, I'm just going to lie down and not do anything about it. So that would be a bit more boring.
Okay. We have a question from Lynn. How much time is too much screen time for 2 to 4 years old?
Okay, so this was a talk that we did have with Mindful Space before. So for 2 to 4 years olds, usually is 1 hour per day. That's the max that's recommended for screen time.
1 hour per day. At the age of 2 to 4, what are the recommended things to watch, let's say?
Okay, at the age of 2 to 4, they can watch videos that has a little bit more letters, phonics, or shapes, concepts, or even like simple social stories like saying hello or greeting people. Those kind of videos are quite appropriate for the children to watch at that age because they're learning a bit of that social skills as well as a bit of literacy, numeracy, shape concepts, colors. Yeah, but it is also advised that it will be co-viewing. That means like you let them watch, but you sit together with them and you guide them along. Like, oh, that's square, that's circle, versus just passive load of information.
Again, making it to active learning and engaging it together. So you mentioned about co-viewing or like co-engaging when they're doing, but as parents, they probably have like quite a number of kids, right? Let's say, so how do we do that? Let's say you have different siblings of different age group. Yeah, how do we do that? Like, or else I'll be spending my whole day just sitting and watching YouTube with them.
Okay, so as mentioned earlier, like how we stagger. So each child needs their own quality time with their parents. So on that note, then we can stagger around. So if this kid is having their reading time or their bathing time or having a nap time, then the other child gets a time with you. So you can kind of stagger around so that you can work out a timing that you get to spend equal amount of time with your kid.
Yeah.
So parents staying from home. So some of the skills that the child might not be having is like, what do we do at home? So most of the time nowadays, we don't get a lot of time together at home. So parents can utilize this period of time to actually teach them a bit more life skills, can also actually engage a bit more on cyber wellness. So you can actually talk to them about what is currently happening, what they can do about it, and do they encounter anyone in cyberbullying, and what do you do about it? So teaching a bit more of life skills, life coping skills, as well as touch a bit more on how they're feeling or how they're coping in school. So that's a bit more of the emotional and mental wellness part. And the other skills are also like developing a bit more of family values and a bit of roles and responsibilities. So you can use this period to actually plan for a family vacation. So getting them through like, okay, where do we go? Okay, let's look at what are some places that is, talk a little bit about history, about countries, about awareness, culture. So that could be a learning point. And when it comes to learning, so I think it's good to get involved with what they're learning in school to understand how they're learning, understand whether in terms of their study skills and time management, how as a parent can you help them? Because I'm sure during our days we have developed some study skills. We have our own organizational skills. So you can start telling them that this worked for me, why don't you try it out? So building a little bit of that rapport with your kids during this period.
You can use this opportunity of whatever they've learned, whether it's in history, geography, and plan a vacation for next year. Let them do the planning, the organizing, so they get involved in the whole process and get excited as well. That's a good one. I like that idea. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thanks. A little bit introduction of Mindful Space, you're new. So Mindful Space is a parent and child platform. So here we curate from a various topic from different trainers and speakers to help parents in their parenting journey. Because at each stage of parenthood, you will have different challenges, different set of challenges, whether your kid is 6 months old or 16 years old. So here we are in Singapore trying to help parents as much as we can. Coming up in the few weeks ahead, one of the topics that we will talk about is sibling rivalry. Because parents, saying that, oh, my kids are at home all day, all my kids are at home, not just one. And sibling rivalry seems to be another challenge that parents face right now in this pandemic. So that's something that we are aware, and it will be coming up. If you have more topics and more challenges that you're like, I need help in this, feel free to write in the comment below so that we are aware and how we can find experts to give you tips on it. Right. You mentioned that learning online doesn't equate to active learning. And how can we facilitate learning beyond screen time?
So the other part of learning that we need to actually understand is when it comes to learning, we always have an information in hand. And when new information comes in, then we learn to apply this new information to the old information, associate them so that it goes into the memory. You know, the short-term memory, then the long-term memory, so that we understand. And the next time a question or a scenario pops up, we will pull out this information that we have stored to answer the question or to apply what we have learned. So on that note, that is why when it comes to online learning, teachers are doing their very best to give them visuals, to give them videos so that they understand the concepts a bit better. But at home, what can parents do is actually to help them nitpick the understanding. So to switch around the question or switch around the understanding, or tell them, oh, why don't you explain to me? I've not heard about this before. Why don't you tell your sibling how does this work? So that they learn to process the information and to verbalize it as well. And when it comes to mind mapping and creating post-its and stuff, it's a little bit more what we call as kinesthetic learning. That means that as you write, as you produce things, or as you organize information, you're actually mentally organizing the information in your mind. And when your mind is a bit more organized, information gets retained better and recalling comes out much better. So that's why I meant that online learning doesn't always equate to active learning. There has to be some part that you have to do so that this learning becomes a bit more permanent.
So what you're saying that, just doesn't mean that you switch on a tab and have the whole Zoom or YouTube and sitting down there means that it's actually active learning. You actually need to get out of the screen. That's what you're saying. And I kind of really like the idea where you say get the kid to teach you or teach the sibling, like as if they are a little teacher. And I think young kids kind of will enjoy that part. Parents, I want some me time and peaceful time. And right now the kids are always at home. So having screen time seems the easy way out, to just have everyone calm down and just
me time is definitely important at this period. So one thing that parents can actually step away is when they're actually doing their homework, so actually when they're doing their activities. You can say that I will come back to you at 45 minutes or an hour later to just check on your work. So that's when you can actually revert back. Or when parents are engaging on me time, probably they're not going out, jogging at home, on a treadmill or doing a bit more of a yoga, you can actually get them to engage with you so that you get your me time, but at least they are also doing some sort of me time on their own. Or you can get them to play a game together, a Monopoly game or Jenga game, while you can step away and have your own reading time or your mindful periods.
Okay, so getting the siblings play along.
Yes.
And how you're saying that, okay, 1 hour it's your homework time, so it's mommy's me time, that kind of thing. Okay, that's a good one. My kids are not interested in anything except gadgets. Okay, I would like them to do more physical activities at home at the moment. Okay, but they just want to watch YouTube. They just want to play games and nothing else. So what can I do?
Okay, this is a little bit will be a struggle, especially if they're very used to be just watching screen time and they have not explored other activities. So since this is a period together, then if you're going to explore new physical activities or you want them to get on some handcrafts going on, then as parents, you probably have to do it together with them. And when it comes to gadgets and all, you can obviously, there are apps to just switch off all these apps and say that no means is a no. So it's okay to impose a bit more discipline, a bit more limitations during this period. I think this is also a period that you can work on a bit more of that values. You can sit down and have a family screen time goals. So you can hear each one out and you say that, okay, so there shouldn't be any screen time during the dining table period. Or before bedtime, an hour before, all of us are switching off our phone time. And all phones is probably going to be charged in my room. So come up with a collaborative goals and stick to the screen time family goals. And probably it's the period that you can carry it out and be consistent with it.
Okay, wow. Taking all phones away and charging in one room. Interesting. Yeah, that would be
As parents, we also need to be a role model.
Role model. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about how parents can be role model in situations like that.
Okay, so number one would be transition period. So if you are working from home and you have doing a task and your child is given, okay, you're going to get 30 minutes of screen time while mommy is going to do this. And you know that 30 minutes is going to be up. What you need to do is that you need to be a little bit more mindful and wrap up your work for a bit and then transit your child out of the screen time, let them transit to another activity, and then you have to come back to your own work half an hour later. Unfortunately, it has to be done this way. If not, one thing is that the child might be starting to negotiate. Oh, mommy, but you're using it, I also want to use it, so 5 more minutes. And when we are quite uptight with work, we'll be fine with the 5 minutes. But the 5 minutes can add on, and it will increase to 20 minutes. So it's good to always look at what's your schedule, what's going to be the transition period, while being mindful of how long my child is using the screen time, so that you can transit properly. So that's one. And being role model is that if you were to say that no screen time during dining table to bedroom, or you can have a no screen time zone in your house where it's only for reading, it's only for board games, it's only for doing chores or folding laundries, then make sure as parents you're also following that. So switch it off or silent mode it so that they will learn. Because if they see that you are not following it, then that's their breaking point. No, you're also doing it, it's not fair. So then the negotiation, the arguments, and all the power struggles will start coming in.
So basically we can't just say it and they expect them to do it. We kind of need to walk the talk and practice it ourselves as well. So for those of you who didn't get to put your questions down but would still like us to actually answer them, feel free to email us at connect@mindfulspace.com.sg.
Well, just to say that screen time can be quite addictive, and especially during this period where we're always constantly wanting to know what's happening. But always good to be tuning out, take a step back and do other activities. Pick up back on your hobbies or your reading habits, or do up chores, declutter, so that you get a time away from screen time and you get to do some purposeful activities, meaningful activities at home. And then you can always switch on the screen time when you need to read up on news, or if it's really work related or emergencies, then you engage in it. But do tune out so that you can have a bit more of a mindful period.
Thank you for joining us. My name is Vanessa. This is Dr. 𝘁𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗃, the founder of 𝘁𝗵𝗃𝗃, and also an occupational therapist in Singapore. More questions for Dr. 𝘁𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗃. Join her. She does online consultation, and now we're collaborating. You can ask her questions directly during the online consultation. Just log on to mindfulspace.com.sg/online-consultation. So I've placed it on the comment down there as well, so that you can actually have a look. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back with more topics. Sibling rivalry is one of the topics. We'll listen to what parents have. The other topic that I have in mind, parents are saying that, the kids' extra curriculum are cancelled, so more kids are at home, which means I need to prepare more meals, and they're running out of idea of what meals to prepare. So one of this week, I will have a nutritionist coming in for you to talk about how to prepare simple, fast, and nutritious food beforehand as well. Thank you, parents. Thank you for joining us. We hope this is helpful. All right. Thank you, Dr. 𝘁𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗃.
Thanks.
All right. Bye, everyone.